Hello everyone, welcome to the inaugural episode of Sports Icon in Sri Lankan Sports TV. In today's episode, we are going to have a small chat with the man who is the driving force behind Sri Lanka's fastest growing sport and also the man who has taken it to new heights, that is basketball. We are going to meet the president of Basketball Sri Lanka. We welcome Mr. Gunawardane, founder and managing director Jat Holdings Limited, and also the president Sri Lanka Basketball Federation. Hello, sir.
Thank you. I'm good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, how's the day been?
Yeah, it's been okay. It's been a good day. Thank you.
Okay, sir. So let's go straight into the interview. So coming from your childhood, what was your childhood about, and how was the environment you grew up with, and what sort of a factor that really pushed you into basketball?
I went to St. Thomas's in Mount Lavinia my whole career. Joined there, I suppose, at about 5 years, and then continued at Mount. The good thing was that we lived in Dehiwala, so it was walking distance to college, or in that case, it was running distance. Maybe we used to run to college or walk along the railway track, get to college quite often, even on a Saturday, Sunday. In the evenings, whenever we wanted to go to practice basketball, it helped us because of the proximity, that we lived in. And this it was a sport that I really loved as a kid. Obviously, when we were young, we didn't have fancy shoes. We had to wear regular batas and whatever, and that would waste in a day or two, on the hot tar coats. So you would have to practice without shoes, and our soles were as hard as rock, and you only use some shoes for matches. Today, kids have all the luxuries and special shoes to play, and we had hot tar coats to play on. But it was such a great sport. It's something I really enjoyed. And it's something I played from my very young ages. I represented the college senior team when I was 13 years old, and then continued like that to end up as captain of St. Thomas's College while playing a lot of other sports as well, like cricket till I was about under 15. But then cricket was more elitish sport. So then went on to obviously play a lot of rugby and did a lot of athletics as well.
Okay. So that's how you got into basketball from the school.
Yes.
Yeah, I think someone from school, and also you told about how hard it is to play with all those shoes. But when we got onto the field, it was all just memories, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, you forget the fact that you're playing barefooted even.
Exactly.
You would, again, for the games, you would have to wear a pair of shoes, but we didn't even realize we were not wearing shoes. Our soles were so used to playing on a hot tar court. Okay, sir. As a successful businessman, what sparked you to start up such a company which is one of the most reputed in Sri Lanka? I was 26, working for a paint company at that time as their marketing manager, when I wanted to introduce, I felt there was a lack of a great wood finish in the market. Our company used to sell some wood finishers, but very inferior product. And I realized that because I handled the industrial market, that there was a huge vacuum for a high-end product. And this vacuum, I thought we can supply by importing a product that we didn't have the technology to manufacture at that time. And we wanted to introduce some PU lacquers initially, and then I went ahead and spoke to my management, but they were taking time over making a decision. They were happy to do it, but they took time over making the decision. And after about 6 to 8 months of negotiating with suppliers and the management, I realized maybe I should do it myself. That's how I got into setting up Jat Holdings. And 28 years after, we just listed the company this year. We've grown to, like you said, to be one of the top most respected 20 companies in the country. I've been recognized myself as one of the A-listers in business, and was the Entrepreneur of the Year in 2017, and it's been a good run since.
Yeah, so you took things into your hand and rest is history. That's how
Yes.
it goes. Okay, so how did you get into this basketball management, and also how do you find time, managing both?
Actually, sports administration is something I've always stayed away from. It's not, again, like you said, time has been the most important, or the thing that I lack the most. So I didn't want to get involved in sport administration, even though I was invited on several occasions in the past. But in the last maybe 1.5 years, the Basketball Federation, the secretary and some of the hierarchy officials had asked me or invited me to take on the presidency about 1.5 years ago. And it's something, again, I turned down because it is not something that I want to be involved in. I used to do my part for sport as a company where we used to sponsor golf, rugby, cricket and basketball. We used to do that because, again, not very many companies in Sri Lanka actually sponsor and put their money behind sport. Because I realized, coming from a background that I did, that sponsors who have money should actually come and back sport. If they don't, obviously the great sportsmen of our country don't get the exposure that they should. So I used to sponsor a lot of sport, but never got involved with the administration because obviously I've heard about the bureaucracy when it came to sports administration, and tried to stay away as much as possible. But these guys were quite relentless, meeting me at least on about 6 or 7 occasions and inviting me to take this on. I agreed to do it some months ago, and then again there was an issue with the election process, not the election but the AGM process, and then again I turned them down. And then finally, with the blessings of the minister, they had to have a special general meeting in July, I believe, this year, and appoint me uncontested as the president.
Maybe the people on top thought you were the right man to do it.
You would think so, yeah.
Okay. As the president of Sri Lanka basketball, what are the challenges you face? And also, I think Sri Lanka has done considerably well in the last few months, I think. So what are the steps you have taken to really push the sport forward and take it to good heights?
So challenges are numerous. For any Sri Lankan sport, one of our biggest challenges is the funds, facilities. Sri Lanka basketball, when I took over in July, didn't have a basketball court. So if you don't have a basketball court, how do you play basketball? So you have to rent somebody's court, and that costs money. And there are no funds to rent courts. The only decent courts are maybe the Subudasa Indoor Stadium, which costs a lot of money to rent, 4,000-5,000 rupees a day. And the association cannot obviously spend or afford that kind of money. So one of my main priorities was to get a court for Sri Lanka basketball. I thought, because the federation has been in operation for 70 odd years and they still don't have a court. So if we, in our tenure of management, which is a 4-year tenure, if we can at least leave the legacy of having a good indoor court and a good 3-on-3 court, because a 3-on-3 court is a half court, I would think, and have some sort of base for the sport to grow from there, I would think that would be a great achievement for our EXCO. So what I did was, in the first month itself, I spoke to the Ministry of Sport, and the Director General and the Minister was kind enough to give me a space that I can allocate for a 3-on-3 court, and we've already established that and set it up with 2 rings on a half court. So the guys, now we are in men's 3-on-3, we're ranked 8th in the world, because we actually can play. We have a location to play, and we are playing continuous games, so that our ranking has really come up. 3-on-3 is obviously a form of basketball today that's played where 3 players play against 3 as against 5 playing against 5.
Small modified.
Yeah,
sort
it's
of,
like the
yeah.
T20 version of basketball. It's a short game, 10 minutes or whatever. So that we have got. Then we got a board set up there's an indoor court run by the ministry for a lot of other sports. So we got a board set up there too. So now we have a 3-on-3 indoor court as well. So now my challenge is to set up an indoor 5-on-5 court, or a regular court. And that is something that the Exco approved in our last Exco, which was last Saturday. And I'm glad that our team has, seen the requirement that is, obviously so important for Sri Lanka basketball. And we're trying to request for the proper land in order from the government maybe to build this court that we'll do at our own expense, but we'll have to get at least the land from the state. We are also proud to say that in the last few months we've set a beautiful office for the federation. We had an office premises which was not looking that nice. We refurbished it. We hired for the first time again a CEO and two full-time paid officials from who work for the federation. So now we have a dedicated team that can actually drive the plans that we have, because like a lot of things, there are so many ideas. You got to drive them and see them through, and now we have the right team, I believe, to do that. It's a matter of obviously finding the funds now to get it over the line.
Yeah, which is quite hard in any sort of developing countries when it comes to sports. Yeah, so I think you've done a very good job in terms of putting up the court and also developing the sports.
No, thank you, and you're quite right. The advantage is we have a dynamic Exco, a few members, the owners of Velona, the owners of Vaj, the sporting and the gym company, of course Jet Holdings, we back the sport. So we've put some money behind. SLT Mobitel has come on board. A few sponsors that have come on board to help the sport and to fund us, to help to maybe help us achieve certain things that has not been done for long. Like we've not had a junior national tournament for 15 years. We've not had senior nationals played for so many years. So if you don't have the local tournaments being played, you can't pick the best pool to take on to represent Sri Lanka. And this is what we are hoping to do now. And we'll have the senior nationals this month, or starting this month and going into next month, and the junior nationals after that. These are all sponsored by these companies that I mentioned, and we look forward to actually changing the system when it comes to basketball, appointing coaches that will go on for 3 to 4 years. So they are given a target to work towards, and they are given a pool to work with, and maybe add new players into that pool, obviously, and take off the other players who are not doing that well. So you'll have a weeding out process, but have a pool that they can work with in order to get the right team to represent the country.
Okay, sir. Since you have a background in corporate industry as well, so what do you think is, or what can the steps be taken for the sports in Sri Lanka to merge it into the entertainment industry?
I mean, at the end of the day, where the sponsors and where the public get involved is, like you correctly said, it has to be have some sense of public appeal. If we are playing basketball in one corner and nobody else knows that we are playing it, or what kind of results we have got, then there is no fun and there is no interaction. There are no new players coming in. So for more new players to come in, for us to have the best team, for us to also publicize the sport, it has to have some entertainment value. and that's what we're doing by having these, obviously, the national tournaments. Plus, we hope to have a pro league, so a league where players are actually paid for playing basketball, and make it very exciting and have TV coverage, and giving players their prominence, ranking players in the country as well, so that they feel, where they stand with compared to their other colleagues. So those are the new things that we hope to introduce to maybe publicize and make basketball have more entertainment value.
Okay, sir. How do you see the Sri Lankan basketball in about 10 years of time? Now we have just sown the seeds, and in 10 years of time, it's going to become, trees, and it's going to be fruitful. So how do you see the Sri Lankan basketball in about 10 years of time?
Yeah, I believe you're absolutely right. For developing a sport, you have to have that kind of a plan, a 10-year plan, because in international sport today, you have to have a naturalizing of certain players. Obviously, in Sri Lanka, we lack height. We were at a Sabah tournament about 2 weeks ago. We had some Indians who were 6'10", 6'11". Our tallest player might have been 6'5". So if we lack height and we can't find them locally, we have to naturalize some players, at the junior age. So world basketball allows you to have one player that you naturalize for the tournament. You can also naturalize players at the age of, I think, below 15. You can start naturalizing them. So it has to be a long-term plan where you get maybe some Africans or some Europeans to come in and be naturalized in order to give us that edge of height. Then you have to train kids from their younger age to have the right muscle to jump, to shoot, and have the right equipment in place. If you have that naturalizing process, that exposure to players where they are even given the opportunity to go and play in leagues in the US or Europe, these are some of the plans that we have under what we call a high performance committee that we run for Sri Lankan basketball. These are new committees that have been set up. We have a technical committee to bring in correct equipment, like technology into shooting, technology into helping them to get the best vertical jump and whatever. If these plans are followed through, even after my presidency, I don't see why Sri Lanka can't be a force, at least in the Asian sector. We, in the subcontinent, we either are one or two always. We just finished a tournament 2 weeks ago, like I said, the subcontinent in the South Asian Federation, and we only lost to India. The difference between the
infrastructure,
the standard of players, the height, the size, the kind of facilities they have as against what we have was very eminent. So you had to accept the fact that it might be difficult to beat India with a team like what we have at the moment, but we have to build for that, and the only way we can do that is by having the right equipment, the right training, and the right physique to play basketball. Yeah?
Okay, so challenging other Asian countries is something you see from now.
Yeah,
I think it's a great vision. Okay, sir. Almost coming to the end. What message would you give to the young upcoming basketballers, and also to the public, and also specifically to the other presidents who are also managing the other sports of Sri Lanka as well? Because about one or two sports very famous in Sri Lanka. Apart from that, we are lacking in terms of results or something. So what message would it be?
As far as kids are concerned, you can't get discouraged. The process is not perfect. We're trying to streamline the process of selection, of getting the correct pools in line. There's a lot of improvement to be done, and we're trying to do it as fast as we can. Too many people obviously involved, so when there are a lot of people involved, things have different issues that you face, but we're getting there. We're getting the transparency, we're getting the processes right of selection, and building the right process of pools, coaches, and getting even a foreign coach to help to coach the other coaches of Sri Lanka and have the system in place. So if somebody wants to take on basketball and make it their number one sport and also try to represent Sri Lanka, there is a very clear path given in our website as well. And now all of us are approached. Like I said, for the first time we have a CEO who was a past president of Sri Lanka basketball, who knows the sport very well, another Thomian, you know. So these guys are good. We have a good team, so they can reach out to anybody and get involved with the sport and get into one of the pools and hopefully represent their country. As far as the parents are concerned, obviously again, they have to encourage kids to play sport. It's not all about education only, but you know, sports has always helped people like me in decision making, in being able to take risks, in being able to be fit, in be able to have same mental and physical strength. You know, that is useful for your future. And that's why sport is so important, and that's why I encourage any parent to encourage children to take on sport. But as far as other associations are concerned, you know, something that Sri Lanka basketball has done now, and which maybe we lacked in the past, was which I think all associations should follow, is that sport is not about the association or the exco or the office bearers, but it's all about the player. So we have to focus all what we do, and not on ourselves but on our players, and try to build the best team we can that can represent the country for those 40 minutes. If we can do that, I think we can be a force when it comes to any sport.
Okay, sir. So that's all we have from our side, and it was a real good pleasure to meet you, especially also, you know, you giving us time in this busy schedule. So it was a very good chat, sir. Thank you so much, and we wish you all the best to take the sport into one of its highest levels. Thanks.
Thank you so much for taking the time to come and interview us at JET.
Thanks.
It's a pleasure, and we wish you all the best too.